Hello, and good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Just in Time for Coffee, my live show where we talk shop and do live Q&A. Last session, we were discussing business development. I figured we would go ahead and start this thing from the very beginning, chicken or egg type thing, right? So in my opinion, you got to get a client first before you can go ahead and fill a position. So yeah, first session, we talked about niching down. Then we talked about 3 points of contact, started talking about gatekeepers. And then last session, we discussed openers and the importance of asking questions. Okay. I think we dug into a little bit of intake as well. And we're going to kind of talk about that today, and then we're going to go ahead and start to talk about taking a detailed job description. So that's really important. This is really where you get into the meat and potatoes of it all, right? The important part, of course, is doing that initial selling of services to get the appointment. But once you get the appointment, that's where the work begins. So there's been different iterations of this throughout my career. A couple times, we go ahead and just sell our services, value proposition, kind of that way, and it works, still works, and you can still make get plenty of clients doing that. But it's definitely a challenge. There are other ways to conduct business development and show that you know what you're talking about. So last session we talked about asking questions and the importance of asking questions, because people judge you based off the quality of the questions that you ask, right? So when it comes to doing an intake, the reason for doing an intake, well, there's a few different reasons. Number one, to convey value by asking questions. And then also to really identify if it's a client you want to work with. Okay. That's the reality, right? Is it a client you want to work with? And is that fillable order? Right? If that's the most realistic way to really say it. Let me see here. Originally the live show was going to be about an hour long. And I think right now I'm really looking to probably do about 30 minutes. Just because, my time's limited, and I think it can make a little bit more of an impact with a 30-minute segment. So that's kind of the plan moving forward. Okay. So other than that, so where were we? Okay. So yes, the importance of an intake. Yeah. So we've gone through multiple iterations here at Titan Placement Group. What we're trying to do is basically the same premise for our screening calls, right? Our screening calls on the recruiting side, and we'll get into this. We do what's called screening candidates out. We partner with community-based nonprofits. So we're really looking for folks that are mission-driven. So we're trying to identify if they're mission-driven, very fast, because you got to go through a lot of people to find the mission-driven ones, right? That's the reality, right? In our line of business. So when you're doing the intake, you have that same thought, right? Really, you're trying to identify, if the client, is, willing to work with you, right? If there's a fillable order, if they're willing to communicate effectively, if they're willing to be speedily, those are all the things that are really important. So, our intake, we really dig into the importance and the priority level of the position right away to identify if this is something that I need to have my team drop what they're doing now, or, can we, kind of slowly ramp up on this one? That's just kind of our thought process originally, right? So then we want to dig into really finding out some of the problems with filling the position, right? So trying to figure out what they've been doing, so that way we kind of know what to do a little bit differently, and then where to kind of start, maybe out of a different angle, if that makes sense. And then, we want to dig into questions like, how long's the role been open? Have you guys interviewed anybody for this position? Okay, so you have interviewed some people. That's awesome. How recent was it? How'd it go? Were they a good fit? Did you make an offer to that person? Did they accept it? Did they decline it? What happened? Why? That's what I really want to know. Want to know what kind of happened so far, so I kind of know where to start from, if that makes sense, right? Then we want to dig into, again, the priority level. How soon do you need this job filled? That's really important for us. We want to know, again, if I need to, jump on this, put 2 people on this, and really the importance. If it's a low priority, chances are it's probably not someone that's ready, to really work with a recruiter. So that's something you want to take into consideration, right? If you take a detailed job description and then you ask them what the priority level is, well, ultimately, you end up putting all this work in, you send them a qualified candidate and they're not ready to hire that person, then it's for not, and the reality is, in today's market, like, that person's not sticking around, right? These people think we have these candidates in our back pocket, and that's not quite how it works, right? So I always do on a scale of 1 to 10, do a lot on a scale of 1 to 10s in this business, just to kind of get an idea of kind of where people are really at. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where is this role on the priority scale, right? So that's something that's really important. And then why is the role open, right? You want to understand that, right? If it's open for growth, that can be a benefit, right? That can be a selling point to the position when you're doing recruiting. If it's due to a termination, that's okay, right? That happens. Let's find out what happened, right? Let's find out if it was a personality thing or, something else. And then, you kind of want to dig into, if it was a confidential hire too, that's important. Get those from time to time. The last thing you want to do is be calling around and accidentally bump into, the person whose job it is, or, let people know that they're looking to replace them, right? Probably not a good idea. Definitely don't want to do that. So yeah, then I really want to dig into why they think the role's been difficult to fill, right? They'll really sometimes dig in a little bit deeper, and start to think about why. Sometimes they haven't had that question asked to them, right? So it's important to really get them to think. They'll spill the beans. They'll tell you exactly what's going on over there. And then you can utilize that information to see if you can help out, right? See if you can, make a difference there. Then I always want to, see who I'm up against, right? So I always want to see if they've got their own internal recruitment team. If they do, I'm going to dig into kind of what they're doing over there. What kind of resources are they using? Are they posting their jobs online? Are they doing free posts, sponsored posts? Are they doing multi-channel posting? They post into one place online. How's that going? Are they using an applicant tracking system? Are they using, resume databases, Boolean language? Are they doing SMS and email campaigns? Are they using data enrichment technology? Kind of going down basically my tech stack, saying, hey, are you guys doing this? And the reason for that is to identify, of course, what they're doing, to see if I can do something a little differently. And then really, again, to convey value, right? To show them that we know what the heck we're talking about over here. Like, we have all the tools in the tool belt, right? Basically almost everything you can get, we've got, right? That was one of the reasons, we started this thing. We wanted to provide resources to the team so they could do what they need to do, go out and recruit, right? I remember, generating tons of revenue, wanted to try new resources, and, it was a challenge. So that's one of the key things we like to do here. Not to toot my own horn or whatever. And then dig into what kind of screening process they have, right? If it is with a community-based nonprofit, there's a lot of things that they really should be doing. And, there's, the importance of discussing what a federally qualified health center is with these folks, what really the job entails, and what really a day-to-day is going to look like before you make an offer. Because, it's a challenging role, and you really need to find people that are mission driven. People that are mission driven tend to be, the folks that really stick around and stay, and really make a difference. Okay. Oh, yeah, and then their screening process. You wanna know if they're just kinda, taking anyone that's qualified, putting them through the process, or if they're doing a pre-screen, if they're doing multiple rounds of interviewing, kind of what's going on there. So you can kind of get an idea if there's any, breaks in the chain, if you will. And then, oh, yeah, I wanna see what I'm up against on the competitive front, right? How many recruiters are you working with? That's kind of a loaded question. It's not, how are you guys working with other recruiters, right? That's a question that we do ask from time to time. But how many are you working with? It's an assumptive question that assumes that they're working with competition, right? And I want to see, how many are they working with? I want to know if they're sending good candidates. Have they told them why not? That's kind of one of the biggest, hurdles of recruiters. I might have done it myself, earlier in my career. Get a client, take a job, can't find anybody. You got a million other things going on. And sometimes you forget to follow up with the client. You follow up with them and they're like, man, I haven't heard from you in like 3 weeks. You're like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 weeks. Oh my goodness. So that's important. And if you can follow up, with a client and all the other recruiters aren't, even if you're not producing candidates, that's one way to really set yourself apart from everybody else. Right. And that's the name of the game here. Then I want to dig into, if you're working with a smaller organization or a rural organization, I like to ask questions like, how many people have you hired within the last year? Right. Get an idea, of their growth patterns. And then want to know a little bit more about how many people have left in the past year. And then questions like, are you guys doing exit interviews? What have they said? Right. Those are really, some of the questions that I want to dig into when it comes to intake. And then another thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to intake, I think I created let's see here. Boom. Okay, so when it comes to intake, I had like an epiphany the other day when I was doing some breath work. I always have like the coolest thoughts when I'm doing breath work. That I could also dig in just a little bit further when it comes to conveying value, right? Because that's the goal, right? So showing them that I really understand not only recruiting, right? And I know how to recruit, understanding the nuances of, different technologies, communication, understanding their organization, their culture, their mission, that kind of stuff. That's all important. And that's kind of like surface level type stuff. The next step would be getting into questions that are related specifically to the industry or the niche that you're serving, right? So for me, we serve federally qualified health centers, community-based nonprofits. That's our core competency, if you will. So starting to get into more questions that dig into like the pain points, right? Because I'm in healthcare, right? So if these people aren't placed, these providers are not there to provide care, then ultimately there are patients that just aren't getting seen, right? And recruiting sometimes, well, it is. Recruiting is a BTI, right? Recruiting is a big ticket item. And for community-based nonprofits, you really, really got to convey your value. They have to read their value recruiting and they're already doing it. So that makes it easy. Or really help them understand and educate and share with them the value of the work that you do. So how you can do that, you can, if you're talking to someone who's receptive, you can just have an open, constant conversation. But if they're not very receptive, or if it's the first time you've ever talked to someone, it's probably not your best interest. So you want to ask questions that really identify if you know what you're talking about, right? So wanted to get into the cost, right? What do you think it's costing the organization to leave the role unfilled? Does that make sense? Oh, it's the wife. No, okay. We're good. Then when it comes to pain points, biggest frustrations, trying to dig into, why they think it's been difficult to fill. For me, industry specific questions, I wanted to dig into, how is this impacting, funding? How has this impacted your mission? Those are questions that really, are going to separate you from everybody else, if that makes sense. Okay, so moving on. So this is really, really important. Probably one of the most important things when it comes to recruiting, taking a detailed job description, right? Super important. Let's see here real quick. 1 second. All right, smooth. Okay. The importance of taking a detailed job description. So you need to have the answers to every question that a candidate's going to ask you if you're trying to fill a position, right? I know it kind of goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. You got to have all the answers to all the questions that all the candidates are going to ask you, because if you don't, and you get a good one on the line, the chances are, of you being able to have a meaningful conversation with that person, if you don't have the answers, is slim. So we've come up with a very comprehensive job order form, is what we call it. And the goal here is to take a very detailed job description. So we're big on annual compensation packages. So in the community nonprofit world, folks, typically and notoriously get compensated a little bit less than the traditional job market. I did actually go to Starbucks today instead. I need a little bit extra Go juice this morning. Where was I? Okay, so the importance of taking a detailed job description. So total annual compensation packages, that's going to include all quantifiables, right? People want to see numbers. We're creating a job advertisement here. That's the goal. The goal is to get people to apply to the job, and then we can have a meaningful conversation with them, be very transparent, help them understand the job and the details, and then we can see if they're a good fit, right? So the ad is an ad. It's an ad. It's got to look attractive. So it starts with the detailed job description, because without a detailed job description, then it's not very attractive, in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and I'll just kind of give you an idea of some of the questions that we ask. We dig into position requirements a little bit. Where is it located? That's very important on all the vacancy details, right? How long has it been open? Why is it open? And we might ask these questions multiple times on the intake and also on the job order meeting or the kickoff call, because you really are trying to get down to the root of why it's been difficult to fill. So we're going to look at their hiring history, the urgency, candidate qualifications, role requirements, job specifics, their recruiting and hiring process, dig a little bit deeper, compensation, benefits, incentives, those quantifiables. Then you want to get into company insights and culture, right? We don't work there. That's the reality. So you really want to understand the business, kind of what their secret sauce is, what it's like to work there a little bit, right? A typical day in the life, what's the office environment like? What's the culture like? What's the management style, leadership? These are all very, very important questions that help you really understand what's going on over there, because growing companies usually have good things going on, right? The difficulties, they just, don't know how to convey that value, right? And that's kind of what our job is, right? To help convey that value. So want to know, where is it located? Where's the exact detail, the exact address? If I'm going to be mapping people as far as candidate location, I want to know what their daily commute is before I call them. So I can ask them questions. How far are you driving to work now? How far are you willing to drive? Looks like this job's this far. What do you think? Right? That's kind of how we do our screening. Then, so do you have anybody in the process now? It's a very important question. I've been doing this for a long time, and there are times in my career where I have taken detailed job description, sold my services, took in a detailed job description, assigned a recruiter to a position, recruited on it with them. Week go by, they found a candidate, submit the candidate, and they're like, oh, well, we had somebody in the mix the whole time. What? Okay. So very important question. Do you have anyone who's currently in consideration? Right. And that's one thing I really, really, really encourage everyone to dig into. Is it a confidential hire? Do you have any internal candidates? How's the position being done now? Is that person up for consideration? what's already been done to fill the role. Again, you want to get urgency. You want to find out if there's a drop dead date too. That's really important. All right, what's the last day this job needs to get filled before something bad happens? And then what else do we dig into here? Consequences of not filling the position. Again, those pain points. And then you want to get into the specifics. Have them send you all the information that they have, right? The benefits, the job description, any culture, PDFs, any flyers, all that good stuff. Then you want to ask again, basically, what are you really looking for? What's the required certifications? What's the minimum required experience? But what are you really looking for? Right? Those are questions that you really want to know. If you've been recruiting on that specific niche for a long time, you want to ask industry specific questions. We ask a lot of specific questions related to the position itself. If it's a physician, we want to know patient population. We want to know patients per day. We want to know admin time. These are all things that we want to know. If it's a therapist, we want to know how long is the appointment. What's a typical caseload, patients per day. Again, do they get admin time? They're doing that now too. If it's a dentist, what kind of software, technology are they using? That kind of stuff, right? And then job specifics. You want to know, what's typically required for these persons, and then what's going to be required outside of the typical job description. That makes sense. And then you want to find out too, again, what kind of recruiting process do they have? Are they using recruiters? Have they seen any candidates? You want to know what their hiring process is, right? We talked about that the other day in the office. There's really, a whole bunch that you want to know before you give the job to someone to recruit on. And they've got to know about the organization, what kind of organization they are, what their mission is, what they do, at least a quick synopsis. They should know the interview process, and they should have a very detailed job description, right? So that's what we do when we take a detailed job order, right? So want to know if there's anything in the interview process that's going to be required of them. That's always important. And then we want to go into compensation, benefits, incentives, all the quantifiables. I want to know everything too. I want to get really, really, really deep into it. Not just salary ranges and then go. Do you guys offer benefits? Yeah, sure. All right, cool. Bye. No, that's an order taker, right? And we're experts in the field, right? So we want to get real detailed. I want to know what the shift differential is. What are you guys willing to pay for a top performer? If we're doing a community-based nonprofit, we're looking for usually a range based on years of experience. You want to get all the benefit details too, health, vision, dental, right? You want to know like what percentage are they contributing towards all of those things. PTO breakdown, you want to know exactly how many hours they're getting. Can they sell it back? Those are things that you want to know. Retirement plan contributions, right? What percentage are you guys matching? Because when it comes down to it, people aren't just leaving for dollars anymore. I mean, they are. They still do that, of course. We all got to keep those lights on, but at the end of the day, the benefits matter. I've got a kiddo now. I pay well over $1,000 a month for health insurance. And I pay out of pocket. So, if there's an organization that's going to contribute more than 50%, I mean, that is a huge deal. If we're looking at $1,000, right? $500 a month, 50%, that's $6,000 a year. That's a lot of cheese, guys. That's a lot of cheese. $6,000 makes a huge difference, right? If your employer only covers 50% now, and every single thing on this other position is exactly the same, except for they cover 75% in benefits, that's a savings of $3,000 a year, guys. That's a lot of money. That's an entire family vacation, right? That's a big deal, okay? These are things that people are thinking about these days, right? The pandemic really shifted a lot, right? People want to know what the heck they're getting into. Super, super, super important. So yes, you want to dig as deep as you possibly can into everything about the benefits. And then you want to go ahead and see if there's any incentives, bonuses, longevity incentives, relocation packages, if we need to move somebody, right? We're trying to start really local if we can, but ultimately, sometimes we got to go outside of that window. And then you want to, of course, dig into their company culture, get in there, be a fly on the wall, if you will. If they're local, if you have the ability to work with local clients, I'd say, I mean, live communication's key, right? If you get a chance to go down there and chat with them, I think you should. Ultimately, I think it's really important that you do, right? The idea is to really understand what's going on over there, what their secret sauce is, so that way you can really sell it, right? When you get in front of somebody who's might be looking for a new opportunity, or at least is willing to have a conversation with you about a new opportunity, you want to, it's got to be exciting. If it's not an exciting opportunity, people aren't going to want to do it, right? That's it at the end of the day, right? And the more information that you have, the better. Transparency is the name of the game. So the more you can share with candidates, the more they understand the position and the more articulate and better decisions that they can make, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you could be a fly on the wall for a day, go ahead and go down there. And then company culture. Everybody's going to say they got a great culture. Well, what's it really like working there? Why would someone who's working with their current employer right now, who might not be looking, right? We're going to be looking for passive talent, people that are going to stick and stay. Why would they want to quit their job right now and come work for you? I ask it for everybody. It's a hard question, but it's really important. You got to really dig into it, guys. The more you do it, the easier it gets, asking those kinds of questions. You know, good thing to do when you're going to culture is ask about the person that you're talking to. Hey, how long you been there? What drew you there? Why do you like working there? You know, those are questions that really help you identify what's going on over there. What's that secret sauce? Something's going on. I know this job's been hard to fill, but there must be something going on there. And usually you'll find out. You'll be really surprised. You know, there are a lot of folks who've been there for a long time that are really, you know, serving a good mission. These are things that I think about all the time, you know. So if you could be a fly on the wall, you know, that'd be awesome. But, you know, you can get the perspective from the people who work there, right? Get an idea too for what the company's trajectory looks like, right? That could be exciting to somebody, right? If they're stagnant where they're at right now, yeah, you're either growing or dying, right? That's what they say. So, you know, if this company's growing, that could literally be the reason why the person's willing to have a conversation. This company I'm working with is growing. This one isn't. That's it, guys. Sometimes it can be that easy. You know, we're not selling, you know, jobs here. That's not what we do, right? We're selling conversations sometimes. If there's a match to be had and they're telling me what they're looking for is matching up with the opportunity I have, I'm going to encourage them to have a conversation, right? Based off the information and the data that we have, right? Data and numbers don't lie, right? Let's get down to the numbers, right? Let's look at the quantifiables. And you know, if a company's growing and one isn't, we're all like, hey, you know, statistics would show like you want to be with the company that's growing. Personality type questions, those are also good too. I'm not, you know, I haven't got too much into behavioral interviewing type questions. You know, I know there are some recruiters that do that. I don't know. I think I need to educate myself more. You know, I've been to a couple of keynotes where they've talked about using those behavioral assessments. It's just not my forte. You know, maybe we'll get there. We'll see. But if you can really get a good idea of what kind of personality types are in the office, that'll give you an idea too, right? If they're all very system oriented, process oriented, right? You want to find someone who's also system and process oriented. That makes sense? I think so. And then you want to, you know, get some details about the company. You can go on and read about the company, but you can get a lot of information right from the horse's mouth very, very, very quickly. And then talk about your process, right? That's kind of what we do. We talk about our process, what the expectations are. And then from there, you know, trying to get some details of, you know, how the best to communicate. Then what we're going to do on our end is we're going to, you know, put that together and create a job advertisement. That's where we're going to pick it up next week. We're going to go into job advertisements. And then let me go give you an idea from there. Oh, actually, we can talk about the fee conversation, negotiating terms. We got verbal commitment, sending information, locking in the next steps before you get off the phone or meeting, MPC, our pitch, our story, objection handling, our process, selling team experience versus your own. Oh, MMQQ, passive and active talent. Don't send resumes, send qualified candidates to interview. Oh, BTI, And we talked about that a little bit. Well, yeah, so that's the plan for moving forward, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea. Really looking to try and make this more of a regular thing. I like this backdrop. It looks pretty nice. I'm really liking this whole gig that we got going on over here. I'm thinking I might, do this live show in different areas too. But thank you guys for coming. My name's Justin Belanti, and Belanti, call me whatever, as long as it's spelled right, that's all that matters. So thank you again. Really appreciate the help, the support. And yeah, if you guys ever have any questions, comments, concerns, I'm an open book. I love a good coffee and chat too. So hit me up, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye, guys.